Hi there, I'm Andy. We often have disappointments in life, don't we? And sometimes those can lead to us feeling very, very down and disappointed about different situations. Well, let me tell you one little story about two men who were in that situation. They had hoped for something and it had all come to nothing. And what the medical people say to us is that often that is where depression starts, with a hope that's been disappointed. And with the hopes dashed, we thought something was going to happen and something very different has happened. And that can often leave someone on the road downwards in that horrible situation. Well, in this story, we read of two men and they're walking along the road, they're discussing something, they're very discouraged, and alongside them comes a stranger and he begins to engage in the conversation and he asks them, "What's wrong? Why are you so discouraged? Why are you so down?" And they begin to explain the situation. This is what they say. "The things concerning Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we were hoping that it was he who was going to redeem Israel. Indeed, besides all this, today is the third day since these things happened." And there in that little statement, "we were hoping," demonstrates the issue at hand. These two men, that they had put their faith in Jesus, they had followed him, they thought he was going to rise to prominence and that people would follow him and everything would work out fine. And instead, he's given a false trial, he's led out, he's put on a cross and he's executed, which was the punishment for the worst criminals that the Romans had at the time. And there, amidst all this mockery and all this hatred, he dies on the cross and it's all gone wrong. And they are left devastated and in this state of depression. And that little phrase, "we were hoping," but it hasn't turned out like that. And that can often happen to us in our life. Now, what happens in this situation? Well, Jesus draws alongside and he talks to them and he shows to them the bigger picture. He shows to them that this is all part of a plan, that he would come and that he would give his life as a payment for the wrong things that people have done, that he would give his life for his friends. And on that cross, he died there so that we could be forgiven of those wrong things, so that we could know purpose and meaning and hope in our life. But it took Jesus down into death itself. We would say he made the ultimate sacrifice. He gave his life for us. But then he shows to them how that he would rise again from the dead. And he says this, that it was necessary for the Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead the third day, and that repentance and forgiveness of sins should be preached in his name to all nations. And there is the lovely message of Easter, that he went down into death so that we could be raised up to new life. He would be forsaken on the cross so that we could be accepted through what he did for us. And he would give his life so that we would find new life in him, which is what he offers to everyone who turns from their wrong and comes to faith in him. He turns discouragement into joy. He can turn those situations where instead of saying, well, we were hoping, we can say now we know there is hope and peace and joy in believing. If you'd like to know more about that, or if you've got questions, or you'd like something helpful that I could send to you, then please just email me on the address that's mentioned below the video. Thank you for listening.